Hello and welcome to another recipe for the Digital Cook. I hope you've been enjoying our other recipes. Tonight I'm going to make ratatouille, which is a really fabulous vegetable stew and great if you're a vegetarian or just to serve to your guests. It's really delicious. The ingredients are going to be onion, garlic. The main ingredient in this vegetable stew is eggplant, and we're going to be adding tomato paste to thicken it. And also pepper is great, zucchini, tomatoes. I'm using diced tomatoes tonight because tomatoes aren't really in season, so I decided to go ahead and use some that were already canned. I'll be adding some really nice fresh basil, black pepper, oregano leaves, salt, and to make the broth, some vegetable stock. To cook this dish, what I start with is the onion and flavor the pan with that and the garlic. Then I add the chopped up eggplant. And right after I put the eggplant in and let it get softened up, because eggplant takes a little while to do that, I will add the tomato paste for the thickening. Then I will add all of my other chopped vegetables and spices. And finally, the last step is to add the vegetable stock. And then I let it simmer for about 20 minutes until the vegetables are kind of softened up but not mushy. So you don't want to leave them in too long, but just long enough so that they're cooked. So I'm ready to start cooking with the onions and the garlic first. I'm going to add them to the pan, and probably 3 or 4 minutes at the most for these guys will be enough. And I'm putting them into olive oil. Okay, so I'm ready to add the eggplant, but it does use a lot of olive oil because it soaks it up. So I'm going to add a little more olive oil to the pan before I put in the eggplant. And sometimes I even add more after that if it soaks it up while it's cooking. And this is the vegetable that takes the longest in this dish, so I tend to give it at least 5 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer than that. Well, now I'm going to put in some tomato paste, and what this does is to add flavor and also thickens the stew for its complete timing. So you want to put this in to thicken things up. So I'm just going to put it in and saute it with the eggplant and get it nicely mixed. Next, I'm going to add my stewed tomatoes, not stewed, but canned tomatoes. And as you can see, they have a nice sizzle going in the pan with all the eggplant and the tomato paste. One thing I forgot to mention before is you do not need to peel the eggplant or the zucchini. It's fine to leave the skin on, it tastes really good. So I don't peel either one of those things. Now I'm going to add the zucchini and the peppers. Lots of lovely vegetables here. If you have a garden in the summer with all these vegetables, this is a great thing to make with your vegetables in the summertime. Now I'm going to add the spices. So I've got some shredded basil leaves. I'm going to add those to my mix. And just to show you what this is like, I have a live plant. So I'll take a couple of leaves and just put some whole leaves in as well, just for some more flavor for the basil. It's really a lovely flavor. Now I'm going to add pepper. And I don't measure it, I just kind of put into taste. Same thing with salt, I put into taste. You can always taste this later too, once it's stewing, and see if you like the flavors. You can add more salt or pepper or other spices if you like. I'm also adding some dried oregano leaves because I like oregano. Put that in as well. So you can see it's very thick, so it wouldn't really cook without the broth. So I'm going to put some broth in right now. I don't really measure it, I just kind of guess in terms of how much I think I'm going to need depending on how many vegetables I put in. I tend to add a little less broth up front, and then if it looks dry later I can add more. I've got all of my vegetables in. I'm going to cover it and let it simmer for somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, but I do keep checking it while it's cooking. Okay, our ratatouille has been cooking for about 18 minutes. I did add a little bit more broth to it and tasted it, and I was liking the flavor. So here it is, all ready to serve. And here it is on the plate. We're serving it over rice. You could also do this just by itself with some nice crusty bread if you don't want the rice, but it is nice with a nice brown rice.